longer a minor spoiler cast.
And Will, for the announcement post, just it's just Tekken 8. We're just talking Tekken 8 all podcasts.
Yeah,
I think.
there's not particularly much else going on. It's we could always cook up topic at some point between now and the whenever it's going to be like the week before Atlanta. We're probably going to have to cook up some topics because there's not that the standard format doesn't have things worth talking about, but it's
I assume that closer
it's kind of
to
just
Atlanta,
a pile of X. There's a bunch of different stuff. It's not.
I am praying that they actually release a combo article for Tekken 8 because I want to see what they want to do with the actions of Tekken 8 and all of that, and that would be fun to do a tier list on again.
Yeah, I like all the actions.
I like most of them. I think most of them are genuinely cool. I'm probably going to talk about the podcast itself when we get to talking about the set itself, but Ursine Might is unsurprisingly the card that I have gravitated to the most and I've looked at a lot.
Apparently there's something going on for everyone, I think, in this set.
Justin, please make everyone think they need Ursine Might. Dude, no, because I want to be able to afford 4 Ursine Mites.
Yeah, whenever I sit down and actually list up a couple decks that would represent any kind of serious attempt to care about Atlanta, it's probably I probably should be trying Void Kaz and Ursine Armored Might. Those are kind of my two ideas.
Yeah, I think there are going to be two. I think Ursine.
I know that there's certainly not. I'm not the only person on Void Kaz for sure, but
Ursine Might is probably, if there's one, you are in the set. Justin owns cards. Now that I have a girlfriend who will sort them, yes. If she ever stops agreeing to sort cards, I will be back to not owning cards.
I remember I watched some of the CWC stream, and I liked what Jet was doing with Kazuya. And I don't remember what symbol he was on. I'm just calling up cards from memory, and they all have Void and Evil, or else
there's
a tune.
Thank you both, Colby and Marvin, for your subscriptions.
There's a lot of positive Kazuya vibes in the air right now. Which maybe that means I'm too hipster to build it, but
He didn't have Supersonic Flight, which is one of the only raw Void cards I can think of. It's a mono evil.
I think Kazuya definitely has passed the you need to be this tall to ride line of this is a deck you can take seriously for a regional. I don't know if he is one of the meta threats or not.
Yeah, we're
kind of. Did the Jaguar cards get split on one of them has evil, one of them has void? Uppercut and Immense Showdown? Or Immense Showdown might not even be his.
Immense Showdown's not a Jaguar.
Immense Showdown is not
just a generic.
If you want both of them, you have to be on good or chaos.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so I think he was on evil because he had Immense Showdown then. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. I wasn't saying anything too much. We've got someone on the team who has been doing a lot with Void Kaz, and it's a cool deck. Demonic Catastrophe is a card.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the universal opinion on Kazuya is.
Yeah, and I could see that being the reason why even a Void list wouldn't bother with Supersonic.
Yeah.
Is man, we have all these 2 checks.
Yeah, I was a believer from before that got spoiled, but everyone else got on board when they saw 7 difficulty 11 or 7 speed high for 11 for free.
I will echo Josh's thoughts when I was talking to Josh about it, which was Kazuya got playable for sure the moment they revealed the 1 diff new Kurogiri 1 Foundation. Or Kurogiri Foundation, that's the remove and you can play it from remove.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That just gave you another really consistent option. Also gave you a payoff for Devastate, you draw cards, then you rebuild it back in. Mm-hmm. I know his version is using Devastate to try to just get these blowouts on opponents.
I have no clue how good that card is.
It's probably fine. It's spam.
This is, we'll see how populated these LCs are. But this is very but I mean we don't get published deck lists anymore, I guess, so we won't really. We're going to be kind of fumbling around in the dark mostly until Atlanta, and then
Look, we'll have them as
see how
long as the
things shake out.
events remember to click the button. That's the important one.
Yeah.
Um,
And if even if they don't, like a handful of people sent me their decks after the during last season, and I can host those up on Build UBS too. So you get a marginal amount of data, but like it seems really hard to me that like fine is not an adjective that applies to 5/3 action cards in my book. It's either it's circumstantial, it's good and it's good sometimes and bad and awful other times kind of thing, right? Like I don't think it's like a great tribe kind of card. You got to be hot or cold on that one.
I think with Devastate, you're going to have to build a deck that's planning on that being like a major game plan, and I'm not sure how I feel about that conceptually. The thought of Devastate Tyner sure has crossed my mind, though.
Sounds like Justin.
In fairness, I think Colby brought it up first, and then I was like, oh yeah, I could build that, but I've been too busy messing around with Ursine my decks right now. I have like a
fun
Bianca,
uniques
like
in this
a
deck.
bio.
I remember there's a funny unique. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it wasn't just heat token.
Yeah, there's still a bunch of like people will still play a bunch of like 1/5s that just flip on demand, draw a card or whatever, and then Devastate's just not that good against those.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was destructive form. That was the funny one.
Or
having 2 limited entries is pretty funny too, though. It just makes me happy.
Yeah, limited entry might get me off of trying to play Vestiges and Armor Might.
What's limited entry again?
It's Super Pussycats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That card's cool.
Unique Pussycat.
There is probably, and I am not the man to figure it out, there is probably a Fire Ymir deck that runs 4 of that, 4 of Pussycats, and then goes somewhere from there.
Yeah.
Where the rest of that goes, I don't know yet.
It goes to 9 foundations and has 8 foundations that say sacrifice 1, gain 1. And then it probably plays Colossus Titan, defeating the Colossus to say pay 5 life because you need to do that.
And then
sooner or later.
before Worlds, they unbanned Shapeshifter and we're gaming.
That doesn't have fire.
Also that.
Yeah, like you can game plenty hard. I really like my Life Ymir deck, and I should probably post the list and circulate it, I guess. I forget. Did you get new cards in the set? Life and Fire Attune, just good stuff.
There's the 3-diff that gains health equal to the number of attacks in card pools. That one's neat.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna get my Tekken cards until Sunday, and then whether or not I sort all the partially dismantled decks behind me before then is question mark.
I still need to do that.
I can play Predator Bardiche. Deck myself. If you exactly deck yourself, you get to put it in your hand. Oh, you get Journey of Redemption. That card's really good. That's like the thing that's
that's like the one card that would go into my existing Bridget list, which I guess I'm allowed to just like not care about Atlanta that much. Just ship that, even though I don't. It doesn't have a lot of like new exciting stuff going on. But I don't know. We play cards.
It's got all exciting stuff instead.
Yeah. But like I couldn't tell you what its Rodon matchup is like or whatever, right?
Yeah. All
right, you guys want to go ahead? We're already at 9 minutes. You want to go and start the actual show?
That's basically what we've already been doing.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
This pre-show is basically a preview of the entire episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 4Checks Cast. We are your 4Checks, here to give you everything going on in the world of universes. And we've just had a major set release. Well, set I think is technically out on Friday, but everyone who wants cards has pretty much been messing around with cards. So we're going to talk all about Tekken 8. We're going to talk a little bit about what the pre-release experience was like for everyone, as well as what we've thought about the set so far from early brewing and just kind of looking at it and all of that. I think we're going to kind of start, before we get into the set itself, I want to talk a little bit about the pre-release experience. So I know Broberg and Tim, you both did one. Will, did you do a pre-release yet?
I've done 2 already.
You've done 2? Okay, cool. So everyone's done 1. So why don't you guys talk a little bit about your pre-release? Everyone talk a little bit about their pre-release experience. I'll go ahead and kind of get the ball rolling in that regard. I probably have the least amount of pre-release experience out of the 4 of us because I did mine at Gen Con, which was best of ones. and I only got through 2 rounds before I had a more important game to do. But I do want to talk about a little bit of how those 2 rounds played out and what I kind of got from that. So in my 2 rounds, I pull Kazuya. And in my experience, when I'm playing pre-release, I either play a character that puts a lot of damage or something or DRs a lot. And those are pretty much the 2 things I will ever consider. So since I didn't pull an Eddie, it pretty much left my only option as like Kazuya. I played Kazuya. I saw that I had a bunch of things that were moved to trigger his Devil Gene counter, which was cool, but I was afraid of milling out. So I took my entire pool, besides I think 2 arenas and a backup, and I slammed them into my deck and said I was done deck building. So it was like a 60 card deck in practice. And I immediately saw some problems with pre-release in my first game. My first game was against an Asuka, and I got to do a cool thing where I did Ultimate Jaguar for a few turns because that was one of my few rare pulls. But I realized at a certain point that was just giving them speed and damage to kill me with. And so at a certain point, I realized that they were much lower on deck count than I was. So I resorted to plan B, which was I sat there with a snake shot and a bunch of other DR on board and said, you can never kill me before you mill out. And they did not kill me before they milled out. And it had the least eventful game 1. Now, while that game sucked, in fairness to my game 2, when I went up against Eddie, which was also a guy that I knew because I've played at a few events with him, he's a cool guy. That game ended up being really fun. It ended up on like a really cool line where like I played Ultimate Jaguar that would be exact lethal, but in order to kill him with it, he had the Asuka Foundation that forced me to recheck, and I had to check 2 5s in a row or I wouldn't have enough foundations to kill him. But the alternative was I was down to like 10 life, so I went for it and did it. And that was a really fun and cool game. I will give credit there. And I kind of saw the strength of the format when like you get to do the cool stuff. I was really unsure with my experience though after my game 1. I think I immediately took to Discord and was like, yeah, I think pre-release might kind of suck for Tekken.
Yeah, I mean, like in standard, if you play a deck that doesn't do real damage and you face a deck with any amount of DR, that's how the game plays out, right?
Yeah, and there is a lot of DR. The thing I took away was there was a lot of DR at the lowest rarity slots. There's like a 1 diff that commits for -2 damage, a 1 diff asset that commits for +or-2 damage. There's either 1 or 2 diff that flips for -2 or -4 if it's a throw. And then, of course, the thing that really makes DR prevalent in this set is Snake Shot is a common. And Snake Shot is just pop anything in your stage -2 damage. And boy, if your deck does not put out real damage immediately, does -2 damage in every move just brutalize you.
Yeah, I mean, most card pools aren't going to have, a huge critical mass of these guys, right? They are all commons, but you might get like 2 of these 5 cards or something like that. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, the thing that made Kazuya crazy for that is because of the attacks I removed 4 or the foundations I removed 10. As soon as I checked one of my DR cards, I sure could just put it in the removed pile and then build it, which is admittedly a Kazuya specific thing.
Oh, there's 54 distinct commons in this set. Is that real?
Yep.
I have 55. Did you include arenas?
Nope.
Okay. Oh no, mine doesn't show. Does it show arenas? Hold on.
Unchecked here.
In any event, your pre-release, you're gonna have 36 different
Weird.
commons in your pre-release pool. So like on average, you'll get like 3 of these cards, and you have to like decide that the asset's worth playing if that's one of the ones that you got. But you're gonna have some card pulls where they got 5 of these things and 2 snake shots or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's better. It's better than like, everyone talks about the muscular sealed format, right? Where
Right.
Oh
yeah.
It's certainly not that. I guess that's all one of mine. We were also on best of ones, but I got to play 3 rounds. I played Jin because none of the character. I think I opened 3 copies of some character that wasn't very useful.
Yeah.
So I just played the Jin that comes in the pre-release pack. Got a little bit of damage, a pretty good amount of blocking power. All the games kind of played out similarly. They both get into like 6 hand size trying to craft a hand affairs. If I draw 5 attacks and play 5 attacks, it's good enough to kill people generally. You know, even if they're trying to tank up a bit, I got into a log pattern of like play one pass with Ryan Field, or he was just repeatedly playing the same detachable head every turn until he felt like his hand, until one of us decided our hand was good enough to go in, basically, right? And I wound up getting there first. But that tends to happen in these limited formats where you just have like 6 hand size or 5 hand size or whatever with some sats on things, and you know, sooner or later somebody just has to craft a big hand if people are playing defensively.
Yeah, I played Eddie, which let me play not so defensively and kind of let things hang out a little bit because he gets to pass checks better than most, I think. But I played once against. We only played 2 rounds because there was a small crowd. But I played a game against Asuka and I played a game against Jin. And kind of ultimately the Jin game was a bit more competitive, just that I was player 2 and didn't have as good of a start. But managed to have a couple of clutch turns of like he would hit me 3 times and I'd kind of like sell out to block, you know, exactly enough, like 1.5 times or whatever. And then he didn't have more follow up. And then I got to eventually do I think it was just like 1 dig string or anyway, yeah, I managed to pull that back. And yeah, I mean, Eddie felt pretty good. And the general tenor of like 6 hand size with damage pumps, you know, you as long as you give yourself chances, you can. It felt like there was good competition to be had, I guess. And it sucks when your cards aren't starting to give you a chance, but you can mitigate against that in various ways. I wonder if I open some more pools, how I'd feel about, you know, having Jin as the fallback character, or what else I might open. So I think Kazuya's intriguing, certainly. I'd be interested to build any kind of Kazuya deck, I think, in most pools.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I played 42 my cards. I thought a lot of the cards I left out would have been sad to play them. And I was medium unhappy about a bunch of cards I did include. But then in practice, I will say, like, Heat felt. I don't know if I was just coerced into playing all my Heat in playing like Heat token generators, but I was fairly satisfied with them. Especially, I got the one rare I did play that I felt really good about was Destructive Form. So my Heats were burning for 3 and not a substantial amount of time.
Yeah.
And like I remember kind of second guessing after the fact, like, oh, I wonder if I should have considered my Heat Smash, like, because I did have enough, you know, form flip remove 10s to play a Heat Smash if I wanted to, and maybe that would have been good equity. And that was one of my rares.
Yeah,
that I instantly cut and didn't think twice about.
Yeah, I think aside from the number 10 on those foundations, like the Heat has a limited mechanic where like you have the cards that you have, and it's not like you're making. You're gonna end up putting cards in your deck that have the word Heat on them, one way or the other in this set. And so, like, getting to do the thing feels pretty good. You get little bonus payouts that feel pretty nice. You get some like above what you normally see on a common value on stuff. You know, and you don't have to get into the conversation of like, well, if I'm building a constructed deck and I have a 2,000 card pool to consider, is it worth playing these spam foundations to activate this and that, the other thing? Limited, you have what you have. So you know, I also had like one game where like I never touched Heat, and one game where I was like slamming remove 4, get a Heat token basically every turn, and so you get the full range.
Yeah, and I will say one thing, like the much discussed attribute of having 1,000,015 plus 2 mid block foundations, the same text box. Like there's certainly been formats where I've played worse cards than 1/5 2 mid block no text box.
Sure.
Because like having the first spam on turn 1 is very valuable.
Yeah, I think we'll say like just because they are all all +2 mid blocks, it made the mid zone even worse than it usually is, which was a little strange. I think there was anyone that could play a minimum. Not having less mids in your card pool is a very distinct advantage in this format, which is a little weird because that's that's usually the foundation people are going to hold to try to block with if they can.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. I guess it has less text, but I don't know. I mean, maybe this is just Eddie brain talking, but I spammed up my stance when I had them a lot of the time.
For my pre-release, I didn't get to play a lot on the Tuesday one because I was also working, and our One Piece group started showing up on Tuesdays, so it's a little bit busier than normal. So I only get so many games. But I played Eddie on the Tuesday one, and yeah, that's pretty much the same experience you were kind of saying there, Kevin. Like it felt a little more free to just go a little more aggressively. My build turns were pretty cool because I didn't have to worry about. I played more threes than I normally would because I could just be like, oh, I'll play a 3, I'll form, I'll play a 3, so it doesn't. So I don't have to like worry about checking bad. I also played a 2 check in that deck because I opened the secret rare. I'm like, this is a 4 high 5 with breaker 2. It's not terrible.
Yeah, breaker 2 is pretty sick and limited.
But yeah, with Eddie, I was able to kind of mitigate the drawback of having a 2 in my deck or playing higher difficulty foundations, and that felt kind of good. But I just didn't get a lot of games with him. But on Sunday, I played Jin, and that character seems so fun.
I do want to give one credit from that and what Tim was saying about this pre-release style. I think if every pre-release kit from now to the end of time for every set came with a mechanically unique character that is like on the higher end of playable in limited, I would not be bothered. Because I think Jin being like I've known times where sealed felt terrible because someone just pulled dog water characters for limited.
Sure.
And the fact that no matter what, it's like you've got Jin, and Jin is at least good in limited, is like a very good thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. No, I agree with that. Like,
I know one thing I think very strongly, especially about draft. Like, it offends me to play draft and have people limited on their character choices. Like, you shouldn't have to open your characters.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree.
And because especially like if you have the worst thing that can happen is that you have a pool that should be interesting, that should be unusual, and like I should be playing Yoshimitsu in this sealed. No one plays Yoshimitsu in sealed, but this pool this time I would, but I didn't open one, so I guess I'm playing Jin. It's just the same slot.
Yeah.
Like that's so lame.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But yeah, it's weird because like I didn't see a lot of the 1/5s in my second pool or the arenas. I opened 0 arenas in my second pool, and I think I opened maybe 5 of the 1/5 plus 2 mid blocks, and that deck felt so much better because I didn't have to really worry about just throwing in cards that don't do anything or arenas I don't necessarily want to play for their checker blocks.
I wanted to open arena. I was going to slam an arena in just for the fun of it.
That's fair. I played the I opened and played the evil arena in Jin. That didn't feel terrible as long as like I was smart about when I used it. Like if I checked it on my opponent's turn, I sure as hell am not going to put it into play because it's really easy to deal 7 and then I just take 3.
You can choose not to put them into play.
It doesn't say you have to. I think it says may.
I'll
double check.
I pulled 2 URs in my pre-release kit, and of my 2 URs, one was the Curse Blade, which is playable and limited. Like it's not bad in limited because your opponent has less.
I think I opened 2 Curse Blades.
I pulled 1 Curse Blade, and then my second one was the UR Arena, and that just felt miserable to pull. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I think one of the things that like can make pre-release fun. I still remember very fondly my Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament pre-release event. The cool card I got from that was the 2-check Hiei UR. And now, granted, I was playing Elder Toguro, so I got to play it more than you would otherwise, because he would fish out a discard pile. But it was like, oh, this is like a cool kill condition, high power card. Attack card, and that's like the thing that makes my pool really interesting is this UR I can kind of rely on to kill people with. And boy, does it not feel good when all of your URs are like a utility asset and an arena that's as good for your opponent as it is for yourself.
I mean, you necessarily get the first bite of the apple. It's fine.
Yeah, sure. If you check it on offense, otherwise you have to choose not to use it if you check it on defense, or they get the first bite of the apple. But otherwise, yeah.
I opened 3 arenas, and my ultra rare was Restore Ally. So I had more cards with the word backup on them in my pool than there are backups in the set.
That's true. There's only 1 backup.
Yeah, I think the normal rares are maybe more important if you're going to talk about like your high rarity cards for limited.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, it's cool when the ultra rare you open is really good and exciting, but like you just need cards that are going to put in work. I think I got killed by a Casa kick at some point, or at least like very, very brutally bludgeoned by one. That's a good old uncommon 5 damage echo move.
Right.
Yeah, I realized my pools uncommons I think were well above expectation because I had Casa kick and the powerful 3 bear attack, and I think like 2 or 3 more like, that card's really good, and it was an uncommon, turns out that's why. And I remember there's like one like kind of weird insight I remember from Mark Rosewater blog, or like article column anyway, for using from that I haven't done in a while, but anyway, was that like there's a nice confluence they have of like designing for people who don't open very many packs, like 10-year-olds who play the game, and then designing for limited, where like the most important cards for the 10-year-olds who open 3 packs a month, like they only have 1 copy of any given rare, and it like maybe it's like a cool angel or something, and they'll be excited about it. But like mostly their most important cards are going to be uncommon. They're going to like look for uncommon build arounds. They're going to look for like they're going to center their decks and strategies around their uncommons, which also makes good for good draft play, because then you open your uncommon in the first set, you get past it late, whatever, all that stuff. Like that can all happen in kind of the same shape. But then you also don't have the entire format defined by the way you might with a snakeskin at common necessarily.
I will give credit to one big thing in that regard in terms of how it worked for limited play. I think the mechanic of like having heat generating tokens and also having these like attacks that either don't do anything special without heat tokens or just straight up cannot be played without heat tokens feels too, I might wind up wrong, but it feels too limited for the most part for constructed play, because the idea that you have to see A before you can use B at all, well, not unheard of, is a lot bigger of an ask and needs a much higher payoff than I think most of them are going to provide, barring maybe 1 or 2 symbols like that have detachable head or something. But for limited play, I thought it was actually really cool. One that Jose mentioned in the chat earlier that I want to call attention to was he said that in one of his games, his kill move involved a powerful 3 move that he used the heat dash action on, which was to sacrifice a heat token plus 6 speed.
Yeah.
And that's like a cool interaction that is almost never going to be good enough for constructed play. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But for limited
6
play,
speed is
that's
a lot.
Sick interaction. Huh?
6 speed is a lot. I know you don't often think about speed and you only think about pressing minus damage buttons.
That's
6 speed is a
true.
lot.
This is a 1 difficulty action that adds 6 speed.
Yeah.
You can ready shot for it.
If there was a character
4
that
months.
generated heat tokens, I'd play heat dash in him. I don't know if they'll be good enough for the non-characters. It might with detachable head, because I do think detachable head is like a good enough 0 diff asset, basically.
Yeah, without having like robustly explored the format, my very strong feeling on heat tokens is that detachable head is by far the strongest one, like as a like continual source of heat over a long term. And there's all these build rewards that you want to put, like people are playing soup in Lars or whatever, right?
Right.
And this is a soup that you get to rebuild again next turn. Oh my god. So like that's feels like going to be a staple into my eyes. And then like the other interesting source of heat is that like Kazuya and Shigaraki and a bunch of Ghidorah cards and other stuff are paying you off for exiling stuff. And so for them, like the remove 10 cards are like there's 14 of them or whatever, and they're on different symbols. And like the power rankings are probably actually meaningful of which 3 symbols are the best on those. Not that meaningful because you're going to have 2 or 3 of them on every symbol if you want them. But
well, in the other direction, in terms of one that isn't super high costed, if you're playing a Ghidorah, Shigaraki, or Kazuya type character, there's the one that's like check X, flip check X. X is equal to the 8 minus the number in your RFG, I think is what the number is.
Yeah.
That sure is a really easy generator in characters like Kazuya, in characters like Ghidorah or Shigaraki, that are probably going to, especially Ghidorah and Kazuya, because they don't grab from exile as quickly as Shiggy does. I could see that card, if there is a good enough heat token, being consistently enough played. The remove 10s might get played legitimately. I think time will tell.
Yeah, like, I think there's like a fringy off meta strategy of like any all or void character, if you want to, can play like 8 remove 10s plus Supersonic Flight and King Ghidorah Unleashed if they want to.
Right.
And then it's
True.
like mid game, hey, I'll draw 4 cards and I'll get a heat token and I'll kill you.
And that being said, some of the
I'll have 2 attacks. like from
Yeah.
KGU. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
And some of the remove 4 attacks are actually fine. Like
Yeah, there's
Yep.
like 2 or
Yeah.
3 throws, right?
there's 2 or 3 throws. There's a couple of just big damage ones. I think there's 1 or 2 with like EX or powerful. Like
I
they're
think
fine.
I think if anyone's playing Heat Dash, I think it is probably Lars. That
True.
feels like a fit to me. He's putting
Yeah.
like +2, +4 on
Mm.
attacks, or +3, +6 on attacks. Sometimes he'd really like
Yeah.
to give that one. He soups up a bunch of speed.
Mhm.
He gets to run other payoffs, so he gets to run limited entry. He gets to run Jaguar Spirit. He gets to run Destructive
Yeah.
Form if he wants. He gets to run Ultimo Jaguar. Like,
Thank you for
this
mentioning
all-
Jaguar Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that it's interesting. Like between this and like we saw power tokens, right? Where we had a whole bunch of like very character centric power token generators. I know this because I'm trying to build my character and I look at half the cards in the set. I'm like, oh, this would be sweet if I was playing Shin Godzilla or Space Godzilla, but I can't. But I'm not here to play that. I'm here to play me, and none of these cards work anymore. But then they got consumed in various ways, like sacrifice X power tokens to do something on a symbol aligned whatever. Commit power tokens for various effects. Where in this set, characters never do it. We have very templatized generators, but then there's these rewards like Jaguar Sprint, and I really like the air. I have a crush on the air ultra rare action. That's graveyard after you clear a card, put it in your momentum. Like I would love to have 4 momentum in my discard pile. That is worth jumping through a hoop in my book.
Absolutely.
Even though I guess really jumping through 4 hoops. That'd be a heat token and then clear my card pool 4 times. But we can figure that out.
Hoops are just more Brobergs per minute.
I think
Yes.
another one that might at some point see a lot of play. I'm really interested in seeing someone who cracks Warrior Instinct. That's the one that's the 2-diff that's flip, spend 1 momentum, get a heat token, and it's form speed. And if you have generated 3 or more, +1 to your checks for the
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah,
I keep looking at that card and going, man, if you get a way to unflip this a couple of times and a deck that also gets momentum, which are granted 2 big things you would have to find. But if you manage to find both of those, you sure can just like check forever with that card.
Heat throws Beckett Mariner, Archaeologist.
Yo, we can do this with does he have chaos? She have chaos? She has chaos, doesn't she?
Yeah, she sure does.
Oh, we can pay the momentum for this and then get the throwback with stockpiled quirks. Oh damn.
Ursine Might are throws after.
Oh shit. It's busted, dude.
So
Wait,
good.
yeah, dude, the Ursine Might, because they need to have 3 face downs for her effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta go read what Beckett Archaeologist does. Hold on.
Yeah, man. Like, well, if you there's just don't worry about it too much. It's like it's on a clock. Unfortunately, lower decks is on its way out in rotation.
Yeah,
and
the catch here is
after
figuring
starting to
out
go
like how many throws are you actually all throws, can you really plan to win the game that way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you're playing any non-throws, what are they and why? I mean, Acidic Sludge probably.
That's a sludge. That was my immediate.
I have thrown this list, the like all throws version of this list together. It does exist on my old track. But
yeah,
I
but
don't have a lot of good feelings about the defense of this situation.
I think to finish a thought, I tangent off on my thought to praise Phoenix Dance, or to gush about Phoenix Dance. It's really interesting that we're seeing sort of the spread of like semantics for heat tokens, right? It's not just that they ping your opponent, and honestly, like the worst thing about limited is that you can just like DR attacks to 1 while I have a heat token in play, and you feel like you're getting away with murder. It's so dumb. But yeah, like we have having heat token play is a trigger for things. When you get the heat token, that triggers a bunch of things. When you can spend the heat token on this cycle of rares, of the heat smashes, and also the action, and also a few other places. Like the fact that it's a unique object in your stage is meaningful, I think, somewhere and somehow. Like Tyner can commit it, I guess. So it's really kind of like using a lot of the buffalo and exploring different ways to create the heat tokens and put it on similar but not identical cards, like the attacks especially have a wide range of semantics, I guess.
Man, you know what You know what I realized over the weekend, and I felt like such an idiot because I was like, I read the card several times. I'm like, this guy's cool. I'm gonna play him. Before I even realized he could do this, I didn't even realize that Kazuya can eat his heat token for his +3
Yep.
if he wants
Yes.
to. That's
Yes.
so
That's
good.
one of the coolest things Kazuya can do. It actually is one of the things that makes Kazuya really fun in limited because all of your remove 4s to generate a heat token, they're not
Right.
redundant if you draw multiple of them. Instead, they
Right.
are remove 4 +3 damage, which is not bad at all.
Right.
Kazuya was an incredibly fun limited character, even if I wasn't sure about the limited set and style as a whole. It felt like a lot of the things that this set did cool at low rarity, Kazuya gets to really take advantage of.
Right.
I
was sure
Yeah,
one thing.
Yeah, one thing I really like about Kazuya that I think is a generally positive attribute of designs for limited. Kind of like you mentioned with playing Elder Toguro in Dark Tournament.
Yeah.
Like if you open a rare, Kazuya gets to actually use it more than half of the time. Right?
True.
Because like a lot of times you just will either bottom deck the card or check the card or whatever, and Kazuya gets to fish it out with some effort.
Right.
It feels earned and feels like different. It's not like every game's going to turn out the same because you have Kazuya, but
both times I've played, like again, having played like Elder Toguro, it felt very Elder Toguro-y. Like, yes, you had to find an enabler, but there are so many at low rarity. I drew one or had one in stage functionally every turn. So I did get to do that whole, I'm going to Ultimo Jaguar, do a little bit of damage, which was my one cool rare because my URs weren't that good. Next turn, I'm going to do it again. Next turn, I'm going to do it again. And I'm just going to whittle you down until you die. And that is like, that's fun. Like I continue to think limited in our game has problems, but the fundamental core of playing the game is fun still.
Universes is too, like, this reminded me how good Universes is, honestly, playing these limited sets, knowing that there was a lot of bad vibes going around. And then I sit down and I'm like, no, actually, this is just gas. Like, I'm having a great time.
Yeah, I think like among the sets that are sort of, you don't look at the set and go like, oh yeah, this was definitely built for limited, the way you look at some of the later AOT sets, for instance. I think this might be the best one of like that bunch of, you know, if you're comparing it to like Critical Role or Guilty Gear or something like that.
I would put it about on par with, and maybe I'm giving too much credit to it. I think it's on par with Dark Tournament as a limited set. Maybe Dark Tournament's a little higher, maybe it's a little higher, but they're pretty close in my eyes. I had pretty.
If you took Younger Toguro at a Dark Tournament, maybe.
Sorry, I should clarify that when I really enjoyed Dark Tournament pre-release, we banned Younger Toguro at the start of the event.
Yes.
And then it was a really fun pre-release.
You say that, but then I opened a Spirit Shotgun in my Yusuke deck and made people.
I thought that was cool.
It was cool, but like,
it's a UFS card. That's not legal.
I thought
it was legal and limited.
I thought it was insanely cool and limited that there were these insane retro cards that were like, we're not going to allow this in constructed, but if you pull it in limited, fucking have fun with it.
Yeah, I played in 2 events, and I opened Yusuke in both of them, and I opened Spirit Gun in one and Spirit Shotgun in the other. And I was like, okay, we're just playing Yusuke, baby. Guys.
You know, you can just do stuff. It's cool. It's fun.
Yeah. But you know, so like Dark Tournament was very visibly designed for limited anyway, right? Like you had obvious like EX and powerful moves at common that were there to make sure that limited decks could kill each other.
I liked the EX and powerful were, you know, I thought
they're like a little more present in this set than they have been in some other ones.
Yeah, like Guilty Gear notably suffered for the lack of them, like, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was intentional that you like, no, this is the tension set, and we didn't want people spending tension on powerful because they thought it wouldn't be fun enough if you had that choice, I guess. I don't know, but
I mean, I'll admit, like, if you gave Soul Bad Guy a bunch of powerful moves in limited,
someone might die in Guilty Gear limited, I'm in.
I mean, fair, I guess.
I played Eno. I think I might have just played Eno twice, but my Eno decks could kill people.
Yeah, you have 7 hand size +2 damage. Which
I had Eno, and I also like opened at least one good rare attack. Right, like I had Heat Tackle in one of them, and I had some other. I don't remember what the rares were, but Yeah, it was definitely like, yeah, having all my because it was fixed distribution effectively too. You had your commons and uncommons, and that was you open 6 packs, that's 36 foundations, and
Yeah,
then
right. Yeah, and exactly 18 attacks. And,
Yeah.
18 minus because like hover dash I
one
think
or
was
two,
uncommon too. So
protections for some reason. Yeah.
I do want to move on from limited a little bit and talk a little bit about the set proper, if that's good with everyone.
Yeah, sure.
And, let's start with the controversial thing in this set, more than the one diffs, I think. Have we had the arena conversation yet on this podcast?
I think we've like brought it up a couple times, and it's just like there's not a lot to say, and then we move on.
I want to say one thing about arena, and I need to get it out of my system, and I need it on the record.
Okay.
I said
I'm ready for
Everyone cares about
fight.
what Justin Birch has on the record.
I don't care if anyone else cares. I need it on the record. It is miserable that every arena is a mandatory static, and then it goes into a zone that's like to the side of everyone's stage. And you have to remember when you've done 8 damage for the turn that to activate the static. I will give credit that for most of the arenas, they are designed in a way where if you forget it for an attack or two, as long as you haven't had another arena where it would trigger, like where you need to swap the arena deck for another arena, the game states are repairable. Shout out to Into the Subconscious drawing from the bottom of the deck, not the top of the deck, so you don't end up with irreparable game states.
Wow, I never thought of that.
The one that drives me insane is, I believe, and I'm going to double check this to make sure I'm not talking out my butt right now. I am pretty sure the good one.
It builds from the top of the deck, I think.
Yeah, builds it from the top of the deck, which means if you have the good one on stage, which admittedly you'll probably remember your own good arena, but if your opponent has made the good arena and you deal 8 damage and then forget it's there and play your next attack, you now have a game state issue. And that sucks. That's not cool. And there is no reason the arenas should not have said either you may as
that's literally the reason not to do that, though.
To cause game state issues? To cause ruling dilemmas?
It is on the onus of both players to remember the game state. I don't know what to tell you. Remember your game state. That's how
you are now
work.
both on it. It puts both players on the team of remembering what the cards demand that they do, instead of putting one player in the position of I'm a knower and you're not, so I'm going to free roll you every time this comes up.
Okay, then they need to all be repairable game state situations. I do not think
that's an improvement. Sure, yeah.
I'll agree that having one that can cause it while the other ones don't is kind of lame.
I think at scale, like by the time you get to the level of tournaments where a repairable game state issue or not is important, and it's not a pre-release, you're not going to DQ people at a pre-release over a game state issue,
right?
Like, presumably at a regional level, if there's an arena that has this going on, that's seeing play, people like have that on top of mind, right? It won't be like the first time they're ever seeing the card in their life.
I mean, I think in intense turns, things happen. I had, as someone who I like to think I'm good at the game, I had at the Australian regional, I had on Electric Moth, had my character committed because I was playing Rodan. I do the enhance, which by the way should never have been an enhance. It should have been a response after this attack resolves. That says ready your character after it resolves. I forget to ready Rodan, and I play my next attack, and my opponent judge calls me because I go, oh, my character is committed, but we do know I declared the enhance, so it does need to be readied. I think I even asked, like, do you want me to keep it committed or not in that situation? And he goes, I'm going to go and judge called you. Since it was mandatory, the character got ready, but I got a PC minor for it. And on one hand, that's my fault for not remembering what my card does. On the other hand, I think it would generally be better. And I understand the arena issue of the fact that since it's reciprocal, it creates a new issue because it could reward someone who knows more. I think in general, you should try to avoid your cards causing easy ruling issues like that. I think it makes the game less approachable at a higher level.
I only disagree just because a lot of games do the same thing. Like,
if a lot of games do the wrong thing, I don't think that matters to me.
It's
sure. I mean,
what's the right thing? Is it just not design new cards?
No. Let's use Electric Moth as the example here, because arenas I will give credit for the argument for arenas that since it is reciprocal, you need it to be mandatory as long as they are, I think they need to be repairable game state things, because that stops punishing the player who remembers it better. Sure. For stuff like Electric Moth, what fundamentally changes about the card beyond slightly changing what cancels it? If Giant Enhance, ready your character after resolves, instead said Giant Response, after this attack resolves, ready your character. It would be the exact same thing for 99%.
I have absolutely no dog in the stake, except that they didn't really invent responses after resolved at that point, I don't think. That wasn't a piece of technology that they were frequently deploying.
There was like text that they had some like hardened punches and stuff like that. They just didn't use them as religiously as they do once they introduced splits and stopped having enhances on attacks. They started doing that more obviously.
They had response on hits sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, but whether it existed or not, like that was there's lots of old conversations you could find where like me and Scott Teachernet and some other people were like, yeah, you guys shouldn't do these like weird floating things that you have to remember that are enhances for no reason. But it's not really the same space as the arena thing anyway. It's sort of it's just a matter of like time your things closer to when they actually matter, just so that you have less stuff floating out there.
Yeah, and if I'm gonna like
not a big deal,
get on a soapbox for them to fix their rule book, to like we formally figure out what the fuck Secretary of Defense does. And
like there's a lot of worse things for sure.
Sure. And again, I think it is while it does bother me a little bit, I think the fact that it is repairable for most of them makes it tolerable. It's just like, okay, PC minor, grab bottom.
Yeah, like can I butt in on like I think I've drawn a Lunar Ring mid-turn and had to reconstruct the game state of how many cards were destroyed this turn. Frequently. And if we want to talk about I get so frustrated when people start like backseat game designing the mechanics and saying, oh, this mechanic's so bad, like can you just like not can you stop overwhelming me with these new card mechanics, these new like I know what a heat token does. This is I'm blowing my mind. I can't handle this. In my universes, in my UFS, I'm so smart and I need the game to be just like I want it to, but this is too much for me, man. And it's like, have you read any sets from 3 years ago?
Okay, hold on. I think there is such a clear difference between the two things we are talking about here.
We're talking about arenas and remembering to have your damage triggers, or we're talking about Lunar Ring.
Okay, yes, let me say what I think the difference is.
Make sure.
Yeah. The difference is at least when it's an irreparable game state. And I do want to highlight that. By the way, all of the arenas can create an irreparable game state in the instance where there are multiple arenas in your deck, because technically the next one needs to be live for you to know what it is and to act on it, yada, yada, yada. But the issue that those tend to have is for the ones like the good one that builds from the top of the deck, if you play your next card just because you're running through your turn a little quickly because you're trying to play on pace and don't think about it, you now have an irreparable game state issue. Compare that to Lunar Ring, which if you draw Lunar Ring mid-turn, you get to say, let's pause for like 30 seconds and let's count how many things were destroyed this turn. I think there is a clear difference between one is crap, the issue came up and we don't have time to resolve it because we have an irreparable game state. We have to now deal with how we solve this game state issue.
I disagree with you about how repairable game states can be, and I disagree with you about, I mean, what if my opponent and I don't agree on how many cards have been destroyed this turn?
Well,
now we need to time travel to repair the game state.
And there is so actually, I'm curious from a judging perspective, because you've judged before. In a situation where two players disagree on how many things have been destroyed and it's too confusing to rewind, how does a judge rule between the two storm counts?
We make something, as best as I know, we figure something out between the players.
Okay.
I don't know I don't believe there's a flow chart. I've certainly never seen one.
Best. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but like I don't know. I just think this is just a learning new card. If there's an arena on the table, it's in the middle of the table, like dead center, in both players' way, really, just kind of like annoyingly positioned on the table, is where you're supposed to put these things. And if there's one of those on the table and you're not tracking how much damage you're dealing, like, I don't know, man, what are you doing? Like, obviously you should be paying attention to this thing that's right there. I especially the designers probably think, okay, the arena came out, both players are gonna be paying attention to this thing. There's this like shiny object that they can both win. And I just don't think I'm sure it can happen, but I just don't think it's like, this isn't, oh, I'm glad that it's been so long that I've forgotten the card, the draw step BS cards.
Oh,
But
Oh,
this
from
is
like the old King cards.
Dude,
yes.
Why can't we have Cobra Twist back? King is here. King.
I mean, I will say, like, I'll just talk about how it happened in my pre-release. And admittedly, we made the mistake of we put the arena on like the center left and not dead center. And it might have been better if it was completely
Put
dead
it in
center
Alaska.
But we put it in center left. Yeah, it basically where Alaska would be on the map. And I'm going through my kill turn and I'm having to do very careful math because I end up killing him for exact lethal. So I have to really carefully math out, do I actually have this or do I need to back off?
Sure. But I mean, it's also like your very first game ever encountering the card type.
Well, the issue is actually going to be, to me, is the situation where not where this is popular enough that it's a meta card that you face every 2 or 3 games. So yeah, you'll get used to it. It's the niche thing that someone puts in because it's their gimmick.
They made a new card type. They're hoping that it's going to show up more than once every other tournament. And which, like, whether they're right about that idea or not, like it, you can't like design your cards. So, well, what if nobody ever plays these cards?
I mean, these are very loudly to me, like these are bad cards that are fringe and niche stuff that is like more of a limited Mario Party mini game than it's a like Copter Constructed thing, except for Descent and Subconscious, which is looks tuned to be much more powerful and potentially game defining and worth putting in your deck and constructed.
I will give some credit to the idea of like these arenas right now are probably not good enough that like the good arena, which is the one I think is the most egregious because it is the one that's going to cause your true irreparable game state issues. I mean, where you'll have to have a judge.
If your deck is shuffled, then you just use the other card. If your deck isn't shuffled, then you put it back. Then necessarily someone knew where it was, and so they put their.
Is that how judges rule on those sort of irreparable game states?
Probably not. That's how they should rule.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would definitely go with a random card as a random card if it was a truly random card, just like whatever.
In the same way that I don't respect the rulebook very much, I don't respect the tournament floor policy that much either. And if we're talking about like possibilities of like irreparable game state as like the thing that's in the infraction procedure guide or whatever the hell we have, I don't think it's probably not even using words that are that big. The tournament floor rules, if that's even in there, and it's not something else, like what is possible to have a fair and procedurally fair and equitable game state, in equitable like management of the game, is different than what's in that book. And there are many ideas that are bigger than what was in that book that was written originally like 10 years ago and has not been updated very much since. It's been kind of minimally iterated upon as the demands of the moment evolved. Like there's a lot more
every time
technology out there.
The top cut numbers,
right?
A lot more ideas out there.
I mean, and I guess that's fair. I don't know. The thing that kind of cooled me off on it very quickly, and I do want to highlight that you're correct on Broberg, is I do think these had to be static in some ways, mandatory static, or you do get the issue of one player is rewarded for remembering the card because it's their card and the other player is punished for them.
Yeah, I think that would make them a lot more problematic.
Now, I think there is probably a broader design question of like, should we be designing reciprocal card effects like this to begin with? And that's a conversation for another day. I think we actually got into that a little bit with Final Wars, or at least I got that in some conversation with someone about Final Wars, whether or not Final Wars is unhealthy for the game because it's so easy to forget your rival is giving you 1 damage. And then if your rival just doesn't say anything, it's like, where do you go when you're, past turns? Like, oh crap, I actually should have killed you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this has been like fairly front of my mind because like arenas, I think, are very audibly, like very visibly, like successors to the terrain mechanic. We haven't seen a terrain in a while, and these are very much playing the same space as terrain. And Final Wars is a little bit flirting in the same space. And it probably was us having some debate on Discord somewhere or something. that got into like the follow on, like the logical extensions of what's going on with arenas, and that Final Wars probably would have came up in that kind of conversation. And I mean, I think that there's a credible point of the game's hard enough already. Don't make it harder. Like that, my cards be unlocked out of the table.
Sort of like twice per turn is in that bucket too. Just like the general umbrella of like, don't make things hard to track unless it better be really, really worth it if you're going to do it.
Yeah, and I think the counter, and I think the steel bot of why we should have arenas is that we are a fighting game card game, and fighting games have lots of evocative, cool ideas that people really like. And some people will be upset about the Mario Party mini games, and other people will say, "Wow, isn't Mario Party so fun? It's a great thing, a great way to spend time with your friends." And I would like more of those people and less sweaty tryhards in universes, personally.
Yeah, and I think once an arena is like live in the game, I think it's a fun mechanic. I think the only real knock on it is just the like power law, how you're going to get people put these in their decks without them being one-sided, blah 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 stuff, right? But I appreciate that they're just trying to make something fun.
And I will give credit insofar as that, like, I am almost glad they're bad because of the fact that it means you can have them for kitchen table fun, but they're not going to be as
I mean, we know if they invent I assume, I mean, I guess they can do whatever they want, right? But I assume if they say we're adding a new card type, that there's going to be more of them. So I don't want to like categorically say these will always be bad cards forever. And I think a couple of the ones we have, even besides I think you can, in the one-sided conversation, you could play the backup one if you're reasonably confident that the field's not going to have that many backup decks, for instance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the most your opponent can say about that is just, okay, you don't get it, I'm going to pop it, which is fine.
Yeah, and I think Descent of the Subconscious, I just keep returning to, is like by far the most interesting one to me, because like 8 damage is a big enough number that some decks don't deal 8 damage very often, and so having them have to have it land 2 attacks in a turn is a potentially drastically different scenario than on your side. And the asymmetry of drawing from the bottom means there's a lot of ways to abuse it, and also just like some decks want to draw more cards more than other decks, or get more value out of drawing a random card than other decks. And also it isn't one shot, and so it's like the one shot ones, they're like, oh, if it's burning your opponent, you always want to burn your opponent, so that's worth some attention, but the rest of them are just so weak comparatively.
Well, and the one shot ones, not even ignoring how weak they are, it means if your opponent succeeds on the mini game before you lose out on the opportunity to play that mini game. Whereas here it's okay, maybe your opponent gets a card or two off of it, but unless other arenas are in the deck, you're still going to get a chance to play the mini game too. And so if that's really important for your deck, it's going to be really important. And I actually kind of hope, but I can understand maybe an issue if there get too many in the arena deck. I would almost prefer if more of the arena cards, if you're going to do all of this, do the gameplay of going to the bottom of the arena deck instead of entering the discard pile. Because I think that does make it more interesting to incorporate into your game plan.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's tough to work around, though, right? The alt one just like draws a card, but you wouldn't want, for instance, the backup one to just be like permanently tutoring for cards every time someone. The 6 damage.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of being forced to play an arena, or else I get trapped in jail from my opponent, right? Like I think that is bad design, personally.
I mean, I think that's like a space that it's sort of playing in, is that it like these this first batch certainly are like relatively low cost ways to put it in your deck. And I made a big O face earlier when I realized that, I imagine companion arenas that you could summon out of your sideboard when you do a quest or something. And that's exciting. But broadly, that if someone's really abusing arenas, you can now counterplay them a little bit by putting by spamming arenas into the deck as well.
I think we are
kind of fun game space. I don't know.
I think we are kind of talking fundamentally with what Will and Tim and everyone has said, why it's going to be really hard to design competitive but not broken arenas is you need to strike a line where it is a better payoff for you than your opponent, so it is worth actually playing, while also not being so broken good for you that it puts you in jail for playing against.
I mean, it could be as simple as making them like 6 check 0 blocks or whatever. Or like,
Sure.
Like, you remember when Attack on Titan 1 dropped and everyone was like, wow,
yeah,
I will
how are they
never
ever
play
gonna
a
make
backup.
Yeah.
And then Justin Birch put everyone in Hanji jail in Louisville as the Swiss champ playing the best deck in the room that was tech
That's
to beat
good.
the best
Nine
deck, and that's why it was
Titans.
Swiss champ.
That's true. We might print the 9 Titans of Arenas, but that's not what I want. I don't want the 9 Titans of Arenas.
Right. And like I said, the
do.
only thing I don't particularly want is something that's powerful that forces you to stay there if you're not playing arenas. Like, I don't mind this goes to discard when it pops. Like, make some cool, crazy arenas that are only really good for me if I'm playing a specific thing. That's fine. It's gone once it gets popped.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
Like, imagine an arena that's like, if you deal damage with a low attack, get a power token. Put me on the bottom
That's
of the
fine. You're right. Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Like-
that's fine. I mean, like, I'm more concerned about the ones like, I don't know, like if they did like a, your rival discards 2 cards or something.
Oh, that'd
Like,
be cracked. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think having materially win more arenas is a very spooky space.
yes.
Because often when you're landing hits by force,
Right.
you're already very advantaged, and like
Right.
that's a cascading. I mean, that's like just winning the game on the spot. I said,
Right.
I
Because
guess
like,
stuff.
and if it's one like that's like this happens once and then it goes away, yeah, it's really strong, but I'm not offended by it. But like if it's
Alright.
one that's that strong and goes to the bottom, that's when I start being like, okay, maybe not.
Now
I'm
what
now
I need,
very high on arenas. I'm actually very excited about what's coming.
what I need
Yeah.
is I need one that is really powerful for when someone blocks, and I'll put it in my DR decks, and I'll never block, and then when they block me, I'll get the payoff.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll probably depend on the flavor of whatever they're trying to do. All the Tekken ones are flavored around the stage break mechanic of Tekken.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty content to like, okay, they're here, they exist. Maybe I'll play one of these ones someday. Maybe they'll release more of them, and I'll want to play one of the new ones someday, and we'll just take them as they come.
Josh,
I
I would
know
actually
one-
say with the one you just pointed in chat, if they did an arena break that was like, what is that? What's the name of the girl from
Ling Xiaoyu.
Ling Xiaoyu? If they did a Ling's Enhance on an arena, that would actually be incredibly sick. Or like
That'd be cool.
Ojiro 2 on an arena,
Mm-hmm.
that would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Where did I post this?
They
morning?
did print
Yeah.
some. They did print some cards for Ling Xiaoyu in this set. It's just
Give me
they aren't
bad
that.
card effects, but like having high cost to achieve them in the arena, and I'm gaming. If you had 2 actions in your card pool, do something. I'd be so in.
Yeah, like I'm down for stuff like that.
Yeah, like they're a fun space. Like you can do a lot of quest designs, and I love quest designs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I think this first batch, I think the Bing Bong space of like if you check this rewards, I'm not very high on that really. But certainly that's not the only space it can live in. And I was gonna say that the main court brought up, or like we got a rules update or rulebook update including arenas, and they pointed out that arenas are functionally in the same shape as assets, except they play your card pool, and when they clear your card pool at the end of the turn, if you play it as a form, it goes to the arena deck instead of being built.
Mm-hmm.
Asks Foundation or anything like that, except it goes to the arena deck.
Arena should be quests, not just hit the opponent. We keep
You
using
mean
the-
like if you played it and you chose not to trigger the instant build, it was still just built at the end of the turn, is what you're saying?
Or perhaps if you played one that didn't have that instant build text, which all of them do right now.
Right,
but
right.
Has anyone watched Fairy Tale?
No.
Not I.
Nope.
Okay, because I have no idea.
I mean, certainly
before-
somebody out there has watched Fairy Tale. but
I'm
not
sure someone
us.
out there. I have no idea if like a quest design would fit Fairy Tale or not. Like, I don't know if they are part of like a guild or something like that.
They're definitely part of a. I think they're almost certainly part of a guild. They have that like the like bird icon is like the icon of their guild or something like that.
Can my weebs in the chat explain to me how the group works in Fairy Tale? Are they like a guild? Are they like, what are they? I'm sure someone is enough of a nerd.
I mean,
to
it's
know.
certainly a an IP that has locations in it,
Right.
and so
Arenas
they
don't
can-
necessarily have to
yeah.
be like fighting arenas. They can be just locations.
What is what the
I made a
heck?
meme this morning. It's a low effort shitpost, but
Oh, I see.
actually, why was I? Did Ling just come up? Someone was complaining about the panda throw that changes its block zone for no reason, but the reason is for Ling. The custom card for Ling.
Yeah, and then she has her own attack somewhere too. I just don't remember what it does.
Was she actually on attack?
I'm pretty sure. Oh,
There's a panda
I
throw.
swear I saw one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is one for Ling. What's her symbols?
All air life. Actually,
All air life.
if there's all air life.
All air and life. Is she not water? Wow, I thought she was water. Attack.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Circus is life attuned. Which is that her on it? Maybe, possibly.
Oh, I think she's also she's also on
She's
Rock
the
and
one
Roll Circus.
checking the
Yeah,
panda,
okay.
right?
So you saw Panda, I saw Ling, so fair enough.
Yeah, Ling's like actually doing the maneuver here, despite whatever the card looks like is going on.
Yeah.
All right, we are hitting the hour mark. I know it's been a little bit of a shorter stream. Is there anything people really want to talk about that we make sure we get time for? I want real brief thoughts on this one at minimum. What are your guys' thoughts on the attack to non-attack UR distribution in this set? I don't know.
I love the Ultra and Secret Rare actions. They're all so cool. I'm very excited about all of them.
Yeah, as a player, I don't particularly have a huge problem with it. I'm sure some secondary resellers might have something to say about it, but
yeah,
that's not particularly my problem. Aside from sometimes having to listen to a secondary reseller complain about things.
Okay.
I think my only thing, because I do want to put a number, so I did look up the numbers on this. If you count URs and SRs in this set, there are 34 total and only 15 are attacks. So you have a less than 50% chance of a UR SR being an attack. I do like the actions. I think my only issue is normally if an attack is good, you want 4 of it. Often an action is still good and you might only want 2 or 3 of it because it's harder to fit into decks than attacks are.
It's better. It's better for players on a budget, and it's worse for resellers, right? That's the trade-off.
Right.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's going to be better for players on a budget or not. In practice, the thing that I'll be very interested to see, and we won't know this for a couple of weeks, is do enough people not open sealed product for this set that the really good URs are exponentially more expensive? Because like Godzilla, I'll give credit to Godzilla. Most of the URs are in the $20 range because there are a lot of good URs. Whereas like compare that to Critical Role, where your best URs, like Hunter's Alley right now, are like $80. I think
we'll see where Godzilla is in a year.
Well, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things is set age, and another thing is like the long-term like trend is that the sum of all of the rarities, like weighted by their, or like some of the prices weighted by their rarities, will trend towards like the expected value of a box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Early on, when there's a lot of demand, where everyone's filling out their sets, where people are selling and trading cards and stuff, like the price will be higher because it's just hotter, it's more interest. But then those will go down as that demand slackens, and when people are still selling their cards to pay bills and whatever, that's just extra supply in the market, and so the price is slacking off. What we're seeing right now with Superfly Stomp is that Superfly Stomp is turning into a Hunter's Allies from a set that didn't have a lot of other high demand cards.
Yep.
And as a result, it's like sold out everywhere, and it's like $400 on. People keep posting different screenshots of different $400 price tags of one person listed one copy on TCG Player.
Yeah.
And I wonder if someone has purchased one for $200, or if it's just all the joke numbers are in the 400s or what. But like the prices blow up when there isn't that that distributed demand of having a lot of cards like Growing Grasp and like Frenzied Dive and like whatever that are like just mid-tier ultra rares that are still of interest and still of demand, but aren't like blue chip premium cards. In this set, maybe we'll see the actions are gonna like flatten out a lot of time, but I think that like these are a lot of cards that I see people being most excited about. I see people talking about, well, Ursine Might is going to define the metagame. I see people talking about, oh my God, Violent Pass has so many applications. I see people talking about I see me talking about Phoenix, whatever the hell it's called, Phoenix Dance.
Speaking of which,
Yeah,
that card
on the other
is
hand-
so cool looking at Ling Xiaoyu. I realize that it's like you replace a card in your card pool to set up your block zones, then you clear it with Ling Xiaoyu. As long as you have a heat token, you get a Momentum Mana card. Okay, I'm a lot higher on Phoenix Dance now. That card's cool.
Dude, you Phoenix Dance in Gene, and you keep playing Gene's Stubbornness, clearing it, putting it back in your momentum. You channel Chaos, play it again, clear it, put it back in your momentum.
Channel Chaos is also a very very interesting and cool card.
Build the shittiest powerful 3 you ever heard of. Anyway.
But it's
Well, I
funny.
think there are a couple really good action URs. I do think Ursine Might people are going to hunt for. I do think Violent Pass people are going to hunt for. Phoenix Dance, maybe. You're certainly going to have people who play a lot with Phoenix Dance. You also get ones like the All Action, which is
What's that one?
okay.
The tinniest Timmy bait I've ever seen in my life.
I don't think people
Draw
are going to
X
spend
cards?
money on that card.
Draw X card. No one's gonna. People are gonna spend $3 on them, and it's gonna be the best $12 they spent all month.
No.
They will be happy.
I'm talking from the perspective of causing the more expensive cards to get more expensive. It is a UR that people would not buy for more than $3 on. Because we were just talking about how when most of your URs are lower dollar, your higher dollar URs go higher in price. And I think stuff like Seize Opportunity, stuff like Subconscious, the Arena, Hot-Headed Opener, which is the fire one, comes off like this to me. They'll be cool as hell Timmy cards for $3 URs. They are not ones people are going to spend that much money on, I don't think.
I think most sets are majority competitively unviable cards at Ultra and Secret Rare.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I suspect that this wouldn't grade out too extremely low in terms of, if you were to, like, I don't know, weigh each card by the number of copies you expect to see an average or whatever. I don't think this would be too crazy far off the mark. It might be like it'll be lower than some other sets, but it'll be higher than some other sets.
It'll be quite a bit lower than Godzilla and AOT 3.
Yeah, it'll be lower than the sets that had a much more spike-minded approach.
Yeah, it will probably be on par with TMNT, and we were just talking about how Superfly Stomp is becoming.
It might be better than TMNT.
I think it's better than TMNT in terms of ultras.
I think your rose-colored glasses onto AOT 3 also quite severely.
Yeah, I think the thing about like bad ultra rares is that after they've been out for a month, you forget they exist.
I'm reading through them right now. I'm reading through them right now. Okay, we do not have time. We'd have to sit here and do the math on it, and we do not have time to do the math. You're
also the only one who cares enough to do the math.
Like, you're looking at the set right now. Tell me how many of these Chaos and Death Attune ultra rares are meaningfully expensive. We're ever perceived as anything but Timmy level, like, joke.
God Titan's Bite.
1 of 6.
Devastating Loss.
Okay, I was looking at the attacks, but you're coping if you say Devastating Loss was.
Devastating Loss has been an active sideboard card in Top Cut decks.
But is it expensive? I don't think it is.
Well, I was figuring the conversation was around how good the average you are in AOT 3 is versus in Tekken 8. I think Devastating Loss is better than most of the Tekken 8 actions. Not all of them.
Literally don't think it's better than the 6th best one.
You don't think it is better than Hot-Headed Opener?
That's like the 10th best one.
Wait,
there are 10 of these actions.
There's one on every symbol.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, there's one on every symbol.
It's 2 secret rares, but there's one on every symbol.
There's 10 ultras and 2
6th best one. Let's see here. Violent Past, Ursine Might, Impenetrable Defense,
that one's
Mandate Order. Those are the 4 best, I think. Then I'm going to give you Phoenix Stance.
Yeah, Twist Reality, man. Master's Touch, probably.
I think it is probably better than Twist Reality or Master's Touch.
I could see an argument for Master's Touch. I don't know if I agree with Twist.
I think Twist Reality is the #1 worst card they've ever printed. So
yeah, sort of most evil card. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Anyway,
okay. I don't know. We'll see over time how it ends up being in practice.
Yeah, I mean,
There's-
ultimately, right? Like, aside from like yap, using as a topic to yap about for the sake of having a topic to yap about, it's not. We certainly can't do anything about it.
We will be just doing vibes-based analysis because we don't have time to actually sit here and number out everything.
And the market's going to do what the market does anyway, whether
Yeah.
regardless of what we think about it.
Yeah. All right. I do probably need to go ahead and wrap it up because I have to prep for a flight tomorrow. So I am going to go ahead. If anyone else, unless anyone else has any major Tekken 8 thoughts they want to get out.
I have 2 hours of them on my YouTube channel. You can go watch on Build UBS, whatever. Build UBS on YouTube, right? That's me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Build UBS on
I
YouTube.
don't
Thank
care.
you, Broberg, for the first
find
plug.
it.
Hell yeah.
Yes, at Build UBS. That brings it up. Let's go. It's called So Your Deck Sucks.
Hell yeah.
Tim?
Yeah, I have a presently neglected YouTube, youtube.com/SatonaCETONIS. I will post something new in there whenever I feel like posting something new in there, which is on the pile of like random. It's on that pile of like things like, oh yeah, I should do that at some point, like sorting all those decks behind me that and making old ultimate bis for icy veins and things like that. But at some point I'll be productive.
I have a Twitch channel, Double Mulligan. I did just last week do a fun $50 money match against Jet on whether or not King is a bad character. And I won't spoil how the matches go, but it was a really fun. I'm playing at 10:30 p.m. at night, so I'm not playing at my best type stream.
Fun for you, maybe.
It was fun for me. Hey, Jet had a great time.
Dude,
One of the worst variants I've ever seen in my entire life.
A day or two later, I can't remember what all the King cooking was, but like there were several good King ideas we cooked up with in one of the Discords.
I will probably try to upload the VOD to YouTube when I get a chance.
Yes.
I actually would like to kind of edit it down to a more watchable like hour instead of the 2.5 that it is. But I don't know if I will have the will to do that because school is starting right now. I am going to be trying to stream a lot more on that channel though. So I will probably be doing one thing when I'm back from D23 next week. And then Will.
As always, you can watch the VODs on ForchXCast on YouTube. URL being youtube.com/ForchXCast. This will go up on Monday at noon. If you haven't seen some of our episodes or need to catch up, we have a nice little playlist with everything on it.
All right. And now we'll go ahead and send you guys off to someone. I think Tam is streaming, so we'll go and just send you over to Tam.
Do it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Goodbye.
10, 9, 8. Grade.